Welcome back. You're still watching Inside. Late last year, the Philippines allowed full foreign ownership on renewable energy projects. The Philippine government cited the need to attract more foreign investments to meet its long-term climate goals as one of the reasons for this significant shift in policy. Months after, are we seeing any improvement in the pace of the country's transition to renewable energy? Let's ask our guest, Eric Francia, President and CEO of ACEN. So one of the most exciting things about the renewable energy sector has been the government's policy shift of allowing full foreign ownership of renewable energy. So what has the impact been so far, and are there major global players interested or eager to tap into the renewable energy market here in the Philippines?
Yes, April, I think that's welcome development, definitely, for the industry as a whole. It should spur more renewable energy investments in the Philippines, which is very much needed given our growing electricity demand. I think the market is big enough to really have space for everyone, certainly for the good of the country and sustainability goals. I think we need all the resources, even if it comes from various players. And again, this is an opportunity as well for the other players to partner. At least you don't have the complications of having to structure around the legal limitations. So I think it just makes it simpler and more attractive. So overall, we're very supportive of this government policy.
So far, are you seeing a lot of interest already among foreign investors coming in?
Early days, I've seen quite a few. I think some of them, having said that, would still prefer to have local partners. I still haven't seen a significant influx of foreign investors on a taking up 100%, simply because we're as an emerging market. Sometimes it's more challenging to navigate the local dynamics, regulations, and so forth. That they would still prefer to have a strong local partner.
So we've heard the government talking about prioritizing the shift to renewables, but are they walking the talk? For example, are they putting enough funds to develop renewable energy, or are regulations attractive enough?
I think the intent is definitely there, and we're seeing this push coming from the Department of Energy. Well, first of all, from the president himself. He's a big advocate of renewables, but of course, the key agency that's supposed to drive this, the policy, the strategy, and the roadmap is the Department of Energy. From that point of view, I believe that the conviction is there, the tangible plans are there. We've seen that, for example, not only on the 100% foreign ownership, we also see them walk the talk in terms of the green energy auction. So if you saw the last green energy auction, the GIAP 2, there was a substantial capacity being auctioned out, which is about 11 gigawatts or 11,000 megawatts in total across the country between 2024 and 2026. I think that sends a strong signaling to the market, to the country, that the DOE is serious about scaling up renewables, that it is walking the talk.
Like, what is the reserve pricing that is available right now? And what do you think would be a good pricing to attract more players to participate?
To give you some context, let's look at ground-mounted solar. In the GIAP 1, the reserve price was about 3.64 thereabouts. In the 360s, the subscription rate was okay, but the magnitude was just 900 megawatts, and there were only 2 or 3 players that participated. That signaled to you that there's not enough market interest at that price. And I think credit to ERC, they read that signal right. They listened to the market, signaling that the price is not compelling enough. So they adjusted it. In GIAP 2, the initial pricing was in the 420s, but this was later on adjusted to the 440s, which tells you that there is openness in terms of adjusting this price. uh, I would be pleasantly surprised had the ERC adjusted from 360s to 550s, for example, which would be our sort of ideal reserve price. Not to say that all projects will be priced at that level, but at least you will be more inclusive because the jump is just too big. But now that they've seen the undersubscription at the 440s level, which represented a 20-25% increase over the last GUP, hopefully on the next adjustment, if it's similar orders of magnitude, 20-25% adjustment into the fives, mid fives, high fives, I think you'll begin to see some serious participation and scaling happen at that level. So I think a part of this is price discovery. You have to balance this with time because you cannot do this in small increments, and then before you know it, 4 years, 5 years down the road, wala pa ring scale, right? So, but at the same time, as a regulator, they're very careful in terms of just pushing the price too high and where the consumers will start. So it's a hard balance, but I think we're all learning from all this experience.
Like right now, is it still cheaper to actually use, say, a coal-fired power plant or these non-renewable sources? So that's why, there is some hesitation to transition to, say, clean energy.
I think we're getting to a stage, April, where the renewables is getting more and more competitive. In fact, solar and wind are already more competitive compared to coal or gas on an as-generated basis. That's a little bit of an unfair comparison to conclude that because coal and gas are very reliable. They're dispatchable. Unlike solar and wind are intermittent and arguably not so reliable from a time of day perspective, right? So you don't have any supply if the sun is not shining or the wind is not blowing. So even if it's cheaper than coal or gas, you have to compare it apples to apples. And by that, you'll need to build in some firming, what we call firming or dispatchability element. And one of those possible ways to do that is to incorporate battery storage, in which case, at the price of battery storage today, that's going to increase the price significantly. If you combine solar and storage at the price levels today, this would already be comparable to what a mid-merit gas plant would be costing at. Now, to give you an idea, a mid-merit gas plant, if you draw it from Malampaya, it's probably going to cost you 7 pesos or so per kilowatt hour today at today's oil prices. But this is going to go up once you use LNG. Right, because LNG is more expensive than indigenous gas or Malampaya, so that 7 to 8 pesos we may be looking at 8 to 9 pesos per kilowatt hour for a mid-merit, meaning to say 12 hours or 50% usage, right? At those levels, I believe that solar and storage as a mid-merit would be competitive, would be lower than 8 or 9 pesos at a 40 or 50% capacity factor. So I think at this point, we can start scaling up renewable hybrid solar and storage. We're hopeful that hybrid solutions or hybrid capacity will be incorporated in the next green energy auction. And I'm hopeful that this gets compared, benchmarked against the price of mid-merit gas, which would be in the as I mentioned, 8 to 9 pesos per kilowatt hour if you base it on LNG pricing or even LNG blended with Malampaya pricing. So, and then let the market scale up and compete, and at least we have security of supply. You're not dependent on fossil fuel imports. We've learned the lesson from the Ukraine crisis. You're not consumers will not be subjected to volatility of pricing, whether it's price of gas or oil or commodity pricing will not be subjected to long-term foreign exchange fluctuations because you're fixing basically already your costs, because a lot of the costs are upfront and capex costs. So there, and then you'll just ride the cycles. I mean, there will be times that mid-merit gas will be cheaper than your renewable hybrid, but there will be times that it will be more expensive. But you shield the customers from volatility. And at the end of the day, I think we need a portfolio.
So finally, any new projects in the pipeline for ACEN? Like what type of growth can we expect from ACEN?
Oh, a lot, April. We, as you know, we announced our 2030 vision, which is to reach 20 gigawatts of capacity by 2030. We are now just over 4 gigawatts of renewables. So we expect a lot of growth over the next 7-8 years. And we expect Philippines to account for about 40% of our portfolio. We're now at around 40% at over 1.6 gigawatts of renewables. And we plan to grow this to close to 8 gigawatts by 2030, representing around 40% of our overall global ambition. We have committed to migrate our portfolio to 100% renewables by 2025. We just did the world's first market-based energy transition mechanism, the early retirement of a coal plant and the shift to a cleaner technology. We reached financial close, so we're now coal-free in our portfolio in terms of owned and operating assets. We still have a little bit of diesel in our portfolio, but there is a plan to spin that off as well by 2025. So definitely ACEN will be or is almost a 100% renewable company, and we will focusing on scaling this capacity up in the Philippines and around the region.
Okay, so with that, thank you very much for your thoughts, Eric, on the renewable energy sector in the country, and also for sharing with us the exciting developments happening in ACEN. Thank you very much.